when revolution created a vacuum. A revolution meant to destroy kings ended by creating a new kind of ruler. At the end of the 18th century, France had dismantled its monarchy. The old system, built on centuries of tradition, collapsed almost entirely. But removing power is easier than replacing it. In the years after the French Revolution, authority fragmented. Governments changed rapidly. Laws were inconsistent. Stability was temporary. France had more freedom, but far less control. Into that system stepped Napoleon Bonaparte. He did not inherit authority. He did not represent tradition. He rose through chaos and offered something the system no longer had: predictability, order, and results. Napoleon did not simply take power. He reconstructed a fractured system and then expanded that system across Europe. The French Revolution fundamentally altered power structures. Before 1789, authority came from monarchy. Society was hierarchical, and law was uneven and local. After the Revolution, the monarchy was gone. Nobility had lost influence, and institutions had broken down. On paper, France had become more equal. In reality, it became politically unstable, economically strained, and administratively disorganized. Governments rose and fell quickly. The revolution had removed constraints, but not replaced them with a stable framework. This created a structural problem. A state without clear authority cannot operate efficiently. And in such a system, legitimacy shifts. Napoleon emerged not as a politician, but as a military solution. His early campaigns in Italy, 1796 to 1797, showed speed, coordination, and strategic flexibility. He won battles not by overwhelming size, but by outmaneuvering opponents. This mattered in a deeply unstable France. The population did not need ideology. It needed results. Napoleon delivered victories, stability, and national pride. And in doing so, he redefined authority. It was no longer inherited, religious, or traditional. Instead, it became performance-based legitimacy. Napoleon did not change war overnight, but he accelerated a transformation already underway. Before him, wars were limited in scope, armies were relatively small, and campaigns were seasonal. Under Napoleon, armies expanded significantly, warfare became continuous, and mobilization included entire populations. This shift mattered deeply. War was no longer a tool used occasionally. It became part of how states functioned. Economies, institutions, and governments adapted to support ongoing conflict. Napoleon unified military strategy, state administration, and economic resources. War became an extension of governance itself. In 1799, Napoleon took power through a coup. But crucially, he did not present himself as a tyrant. He framed his rule as a continuation of the revolution, a stabilizing force, and a rational system of governance. This was strategic. He understood something fundamental. People resist reversals, but accept stability. Napoleon did not restore monarchy in name. He built a system that preserved revolutionary ideas, centralized authority, and maintained control. When he crowned himself emperor in 1804, it was not a return to the past. It was something new, a modern state with concentrated authority. Napoleon's greatest impact was not military conquest, it was systemic reform. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, which standardized laws, ensured legal equality in principle, removed feudal privilege. He reorganized administration, centralized taxation, created efficient bureaucracies, established merit-based promotion. Authority became predictable, structured, and scalable. This was a major transition, instead of relying on personal loyalty or regional authority. states now relied on institutions. Napoleon didn't just rule effectively. He made the system capable of functioning without chaos. Napoleon's system extended beyond France. As he expanded, he overthrew monarchies, installed allied governments, and introduced legal and administrative reforms. In many regions, Napoleonic rule reduced feudal constraints, improved governance efficiency, standardized institutions. But this came at a cost. It was imposed through occupation, military control, and resource extraction. Thus, his expansion created a contradiction. Reform brought efficiency. Control created resistance. Europe was being reorganized, but not voluntarily. Napoleon succeeded because he aligned three critical systems: military structure into flexible, fast, and coordinated; administration into centralized, efficient, and scalable; legitimacy based on results and reinforced by stability. Most of his opponents lacked this combination. They were slower, more rigid, and less coordinated. Napoleon did not just win battles, he out-organized systems. But Napoleon's system had a weakness. It required constant control. As his empire expanded, communication slowed, logistics became complex, and local resistance increased. Administrative systems, no matter how efficient, struggle with scale, especially when control must be enforced, resources must be coordinated, and distance becomes a factor. The system that worked in France and Western Europe became harder to maintain across the continent. Napoleon attempted to control Europe economically through the continental system. The goal was to isolate Britain, control trade, and force economic compliance. But this revealed limitations. Trade networks are difficult to control completely. Enforcement required constant oversight. Allies often resisted restrictions. Economic systems are fluid. They do not respond well to rigid control. This weakened Napoleon's broader strategy. The invasion of Russia in 1812 exposed every weakness in Napoleon's system. At first, the campaign followed familiar patterns: rapid advance, strategic positioning. But Russia did not engage directly. Instead, it retreated, destroyed resources, and extended the battlefield. This created a new problem. Napoleon's system depended on speed and supply. Both failed. Distance, weather, and logistics overcame coordination. Retreat became unavoidable. Losses were devastating. After Russia, European powers changed strategy. Previously, Napoleon defeated them individually. Now they coordinated, shared resources, and fought collectively. This neutralized his advantage. The system that gave Napoleon dominance, fragmentation of opponents, was removed. Balance shifted. Napoleon's fall culminated in 1815 at Waterloo. But the outcome was no longer just a battle. It was the collapse of momentum and the breakdown of centralized control. Napoleon's system required continuous victories, strong coordination, political dominance. Without these, it became unstable. Despite his defeat, Napoleon's influence persisted. Across Europe, legal systems remained, bureaucracies expanded, and states centralized. Even his enemies adopted elements of his system. This is crucial because Napoleon failed as a ruler, but succeeded as a transformer of systems. Napoleon's legacy is not just conquest, it is transformation. He took a fractured system and imposed structure on it. He unified war, governance, and administration. But this unity came with limits. Once expansion slowed and control weakened, the system collapsed. Yet the structures remained. Modern Europe did not emerge despite Napoleon. It emerged partly because of him. If you found this explanation useful, Consider subscribing for more short and long-form explorations of history's turning points. If there are any future topics you would like me to cover, share your thoughts in the comments below.